Hey there, Citadel Daniel in the hotel room on the road this week. And my last video was about the 5 levels of intelligence adapted from the works of Machiavelli. This video is going to be about how you can move from level 1, the pawn or reactive level, to level 2, the parrot, right? And I'm going to give you 5 exercises for that. The first one is it's called daily curiosity, and this is the one that's going to involve journaling. So what you want to do is watch videos, read, listen to content that's important to you, content that you want to be able to parrot, right? And take notes on that content. Write down your talking points, right? Very specifically, the language that you find persuasive in the content that you're consuming, right? Number 2, you want to try to find the most persuasive speakers, the most persuasive writers in that content area, the one that you want to move from a pawn to a parrot in, right? Don't let the names mess you up. They're not pejorative terms. They're just names of the levels, right? So moving from someone who's reactive into someone who can, make these arguments. They're not your own arguments, but at least you can make them in a persuasive way, right? So write down those arguments so you can have them at your fingertips, and you can use those persuasive arguments yourself. So find someone that you find persuasive in the space that you're interested in, and internalize the arguments that they use. Not just the arguments, but the way that they make those arguments, right? The next thing you want to do is when you make these arguments to people, observe how they land, right? When I'm making these arguments that I found persuasive, that I took notes on, right? And I'm trying to make my own, that I'm trying to be able to parrot, how are they landing with the people that I'm trying to persuade, right? Because what you want to do is see how see what the results are of this mimicry, of this parroting that you're trying to perfect. So you always, the point of this one is you want to observe the impact of the arguments, of how persuasive are they, right? So you can get that feedback, and you can, internalize. It's going to give you direct experiential feedback of how this mechanism of, influencing really works, because you're going to become an influencer. That's really that's what we call them now, right? So you're working on becoming an influencer, right? The next thing you want to do on the way up is, you want to start to question things. Question your own assumptions, right? Is this thing that I believed in wrong? Because that's going to help you not necessarily to move from a pawn to a parrot, but when you want to move from a parrot to a fox, for example, you want to be able to, first of all, identify the assumptions that you're working under. And number 2, to be able to question the assumptions, right? One of the ways that you can, observe this or look to see how valid these assumptions are is to see if you're able to make predictions based on these assumptions that you have, right? And if you do make these predictions, how did it turn out, right? How did the predictions turn out? The last exercise that I want you to work on is when you use your rap, right? When you're delivering your talking points in the most persuasive way you can, right? And in the beginning, you're going to want to use the style of somebody who you find persuasive. So if you're a Bitcoiner and you think that Jack Mallers is the most persuasive person around, right? You like his style, use the style of Jack Mallers, when you're making your persuasive arguments. But you want to see, again, how convincing these arguments are, right? Because you want to train your awareness, right, of, you want to train your awareness of how these things are landing. You want to see, this external validation. Yeah, hey, when you talk to someone, if you've done this, hey, how did that land? Were you convinced by those arguments? You can be right up front about it. And use that feedback, right, to iterate and to, first of all, become aware of this, how this whole social, your external validation, is going to give you an idea of how this persuasive speech really works, right? So those are the five exercises. Daily curiosity ritual, write stuff down in a journal, right? Imitation drills. You want to just imitate. Like, I play music. The best thing for musicians to do is find songs that they like, find styles that they like, and just play them, right? Don't judge yourself. Copy. Just plagiarize in the beginning, right? So you can get your chops down. And this is the same thing here, right? Social experimentation. Actually use these in conversation, right? You now have your talking points, the way you're going to present them, how you're going to persuade people, how you're going to parrot these ideas. Use them. See how they land, right? It's going to build up your awareness of how these arguments are playing. The next thing, not necessarily a parrot thing, but it's going to help you to rise through the levels, is you want to question things. What are my assumptions, right? About everything, right? What am I assuming and how is it serving me? And one way to see if these assumptions are serving you is to make predictions around those assumptions and see how those predictions work out, right? Finally, you want to specifically just ask people, hey, I just made an argument for the use case of Bitcoin, why you should own some Bitcoin, for example. This is a Bitcoin channel, right? How did that land with you? So those are the 5 exercises to help you to get from a reactive state, the lowest level of intelligence. And again, most people, the preponderance of people, probably more than 50% of people fall into this category. And again, as I mentioned before, not everyone is in this category for everything, right? But most people are just reactive. That's all they are. That's why societal control works, to tell you the truth. So you want to move from that level up to the next level, which is at least being aware of the psyops, of the persuasive speech, right? And learning how to become a persuasive speaker on your own, and learning what assumptions you have, right now, and which ones are serving you. All right. That's it. I'll talk to you again, probably soon, because here I am in my hotel room with nothing better to do for now. Take care. Peace.